Hey guys, Mike from CoachMikeMcDonald.com here. And do you struggle with cold calling or calling your leads or call anxiety, and maybe you're looking for an effective way of how to overcome your fear of cold calling? Well, today's video I'm going to go through a couple tips of how you can get past that, so stay tuned. Now, me, naturally, I'm more of like an introverted video game nerd by nature, right? So I know I definitely struggled with this when I was first starting in my business, and good news is it can definitely be overcome, right? You don't have to worry about cold calling or that fear or anxiety or that call reluctance, right? You know, have you ever felt like your phone weighs like 200 pounds and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to call this person, or how do I overcome that, right? And so there's a couple different mindsets with that can help you get past that and get over your call reluctance and your fear of cold calling, right? So one thing to understand is that part of that hesitation, part of that feeling of nervousness of, you know, what's going to happen, right? That is normal, right? So it doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry, how long you've been in the business, you know, how successful you are, you're going to start to have that regardless of, you know, you have massive results or you're brand new. But one thing that really separates the leaders from the people that are just getting average results is basically that they make that call anyway, right? So the more that you do it, the more you can overcome that fear. So keep that in mind, that everybody faces that, so you're not weird, but taking that action, making it a habit, will start to help you overcome that fear of the phone and overcome that call anxiety, especially if you're cold calling or reaching out to people that you may know or may not know, right? So foundation, that happens to everybody. You're not weird, so you got to move past that, right? But some different steps of how you can overcome that fear and make it a lot easier to cold call or reach out to people is basically the idea that when you make the shift of how can I sell this person to how can I help this person, right? You know, one thing that I find a lot of people, especially when they're new or they're just getting started in sales or network marketing or building an online business, they really come from the mindset of like, how can I convince this person to buy from me, or how can I sell this person, right? And so that's actually not the right mindset that you want to have, because if you come from that standpoint, if you're just looking at someone like a dollar sign, it really makes it a lot harder to actually build a business. You're not going to build a lot of trust and rapport. People can sense that you just are looking to sell them, right? Or push something on them that they don't need. So get out of that mindset and instead shift gears into how can I help this person and how can I solve their problems, right? So one of the biggest things when it comes to cold calling or making that easier and kind of eliminating that anxiety is that you're coming from the mindset of how can I help this person, and then it really starts with that foundation of the invite, of inviting them to take a look at your information, right? That's your product, your service, your business, your opportunity, whatever the case might be. And so how do you do that? Well, the foundation is really finding out if that person is even open to what you have, right? So that's one thing that I find a lot of people struggle with in their business, and what can really create that, you know, call reluctance or that anxiety of cold calling is that people aren't necessarily even open to hear what you have. And again, you're in pitch mode trying to push your product, push your service on that person when they're not even a good fit or they're not even interested in open, right? So a lot of times what happens is people struggle with, you know, they're trying to convince people that aren't interested, and they spend way too much time with the wrong people. You know, a great analogy that I like to think of is, imagine if you were a meat salesman, right? And a lot of times I'll get questions like, how can I convince my negative friends to join my business? How can I, you know, convince someone that says it's a scam to join? Or, you know, what if somebody doesn't, you know, like my product? What do I say to magically convince them to buy from me, right? You know, again, so back to that meat salesman example, it's just like asking the question like, hey, I'll keep talking to these vegetarians and they're not buying from me. You know, what do I say to them to get them to buy from me? Well, they don't even eat meat, number one, so why would they be interested in buying from you? Maybe you should go to someone that likes steak and then tell them about how your steak is the best, right? So again, have that mindset of you're not trying to convince people that aren't interested. That's not what sales is. And if that's the mindset that you have, you're going to continue to struggle because you're spending way too much time with the wrong people. If you need to try and convince them that they need to buy your product, you're going to struggle a lot, right? Where again, if you find someone that's actually interested, right, they're open to hearing what you have, or they have some kind of problem, need, want, goal that you can help them achieve, some problem you can help them solve with your product or your business, it's a whole different story, right? And then even at that point, I almost feel like that's not really cold calling then, because you know that they have some type of issue that you can help solve, right? So then you're just providing value, you're providing a service, you're helping them. And again, it makes that mind shift from how can I sell this person to how can I help this person. And that's going to go a long way to make cold calling easier, reduce your anxiety of calling, get rid of that call reluctance. And so that can be a great way of how to overcome your fear of cold calling. Now, another aspect that you can do once you've transitioned from the mindset of how can I sell this person to how can I help this person is basically going to be leading with value and then actually generating your own leads. Right? You know, that's one aspect that I find a lot of people could use to really overcome that fear of cold calling and actually not even have to do that anymore, right? You know, active prospecting is really a great part of any business. It helps spin the wheels. It helps bring in more income, helps bring in more sales. So it's certainly something you should focus on. But when you get the right systems in place, you start creating the right content, you can actually start to attract leads to you that need your product, that want your service, that are excited and open to talk to you versus just hunting people down, right? So again, that can help eliminate cold calling altogether. You know, if somebody's reaching out to you saying, hey, I need your help, I want more information, it's a heck of a lot easier to talk to that person than just randomly pitching someone your business, right? So again, start generating your own leads. How do you do that? Well, you want to start talking about value, start solving problems of your target market. You know, let's say, for example, you wanted to start generating real estate leads, right? So you're a real estate agent, you want to sell more homes, and how do you start, right? So again, provide value. So who's your target market? Maybe it's first-time home buyers, right? So you could maybe somehow find a directory or find people that were recently married, you know, maybe they're that type of person that's going to buy their first home. That's cool, but you could cold call those people, you could reach out to them, see if they're looking, see if you can be their real estate agent, right? You know, it's a process, but you could also start to attract those leads to you. So for example, in that case, you're targeting first-time home buyers. So you're an expert in the field, right? You've been selling homes, you know what to look for, you know what not to look for. You maybe know common questions that, you know, your first-time home buyers who've worked with in the past have. So create content, create value based around how you can solve that problem. Right? So maybe you create an ebook or a video series. You answer the top 10 questions first-time home buyers have, right? And so now you're creating that content. You know, come check out my free guide. You give a tip, you know, here's what to avoid in your first home. And then, oh, by the way, why don't you check out my free video series on answering the 10 common questions people need to know as a first-time home buyer. And then you direct them towards that, right? So now people are coming in, they're becoming leads, they're looking to buy their first home, right? If they're downloading a guide or a series on how to, you know, what they need to know about buying their first home, well, that's a really highly targeted lead if you were looking for real estate leads, right? So again, take that same kind of example, but apply it to your business or any business, and then it can really, again, start attracting leads to you, having people asking about your products, your services, and again, that can certainly help reduce, you know, calling anxiety, you know, call reluctance, eliminate pretty much having to cold call in general, because if people are raising their hand saying, hey, I need help, or I like your content, or hey, I'm, you know, highly interested in your offer already to begin with, it's a heck of a lot easier to call those people. And then it's pretty natural, right? You're in that postured position instead of kind of being on the defensive when it comes to cold calling. So that can can make it a lot easier. Another thing to keep in mind too is that when you're generating leads in this fashion and people are leaving their phone number, like they want help, right? You don't leave your phone number if you don't want to be contacted, right? People that are leaving their phone number are expecting a phone call. They want a phone call, right? They have questions, they need help. And so you're almost doing them a disservice by not calling them, right? By not reaching out to that person. You're kind of like, hey, I know you need help, but forget it. I'm not going to call you. I'm not going to help you, right? That's not really a good mindset either. So if somebody's leaving their phone number, they definitely want help and they're asking for it. So give them a call, right? So you can kind of eliminate that fear because you know that they want to be contacted. And so again, that can help overcome your fear of cold calling because you're not really cold calling in that sense where they're actually asking for help to begin with. So again, guys, overall, the key foundation is going to be changing your mindset of how can I help this person rather than how can I convince or sell this person. Because if you find out in your inviting process, your cold message, your initial call, your cold call, whatever it might be, if you're finding out that they're actually interested and open to what you have to begin with, it's so much simpler to transition into, your sales pitch, your value build, what your offer is, because they're open, right? If they're not open to what you have, if they're not interested, you're not going to go into your sales pitch. You're not going to go into your presentation. You're not going to talk to them about your products because they're not interested, right? They're not interested. They're not open. That's kind of the overall mindset that you need to have, is that if somebody's not interested, they're not open, they don't have a problem you can solve, there isn't some type of solution you can provide to them, you can't help them reach their goals faster, whatever it might be compared to your business. If they aren't open, they're not interested, why are you talking to them, right? You're just like, hey, thanks for your time. Sounds like it's not a good fit. Feel free to reach out if things change for you, right? Because again, if you're cold calling, you're reaching out to people, a lot of that anxiety comes in because you're coming from that mindset of how can I convince them they need to buy when they have no interest, versus like, I'm just going to see if they're open. And if they are, cool, then we can go through that process. If they're open at that point or they're ready to get started, great. If not, that's totally cool too. They at least saw the information. They know where to find me. When timing was right for them, they can certainly reach out to me and move forward from there. Or again, worst case scenario too, they might know other people that could be a better fit than they are, and you can just ask for referrals, right? So again, when you shift your mindset to how can I help this person, you lead with value, you provide solutions, you find out more about that potential customer or business partner on how you can help them, it goes a long way to eliminate your fear of cold calling, reducing that calling anxiety and that reluctance to pick up the phone, because you know that you're coming from a place of how can I help this person versus how can I sell and convince this person. So again, guys, hopefully you got some benefit and value out of this video. If you did, feel free to comment and share, and be sure to subscribe to our channel here if you haven't yet to get the latest tips and training to help you grow your business. And then also, if you're struggling in general with generating leads, if you'd like to eliminate cold calling altogether in your business and just start to target those people that are actually reaching out to you, raising their hands, leaving their phone numbers, right? If you want to start generating more leads for your business, definitely check out the free webinar training I have over on my site at coachmikemcdonald.com/LG. You can actually click on the link below this video as well to get access to my free webinar on generating more leads and sales for your business. So in that webinar, I really walk through a ton of strategies, the systems, the tools, everything in place that I have set up for my business that you can really implement in any business as well. Whether you're building a real estate business, a network marketing business, online marketing, you're selling a product, doesn't really matter, because when you lead with value, you provide solutions, that works for any business, right? So if you want to check out that free webinar training, again, like I said, click on the link below this video, fill out your name and email there to get access to that webinar. And again, you can access it over at coachmikemcdonald.com/LG. But once again, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you more soon.